no. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You've got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Tuesday to you. It's a Taco Bell Tuesday here at BroncoNationNews.com. It's a game day edition as well. Boise State taking on Wyoming tonight, and we got our man Jay Tust, sports director at KTVB, joining us for his regularly scheduled Tuesday. One of these Tuesdays, we're going to be chomping on some Taco Bell or something during the segment, Jay. But appreciate you for joining us as always. How we doing?
I'm good, man. Game night, a little ways away, but that's the exciting thing about basketball season is we get to do this twice a week. So, this should be a game Boise State takes care of, and I'm sure we're going to get into that here in a little bit.
Yeah, we get 2 game days. Friday's game day again for the New Mexico game. That one's a 9 p.m. start, so we'll have 2 extra hours to kill for that one. And actually, Friday may have to talk to you off air. Maybe have to start a little early or have an abbreviated show because I'm flying down to Albuquerque morning of the game. So we'll figure something out Friday. But and maybe when I mentioned the Taco Bell, maybe our kids are the ones munching on the Taco Bell in the background to keep them quiet during the show. But
no kidding.
Always appreciate Taco Bell, the Nicolason family and SON Management Group. They're our Tuesday sponsor here, Taco Bell. So check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. And of course, our title sponsor is Andy Rowe and Company, RowePaint.com, ROEPaint.com. All your painting needs. Hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and RowePaint.com. Got some bites from Leon Rice I want to play today. We talked to him yesterday about the defense, about moving past that game the other day, about the road ahead, playing Wyoming. And I guess the most important journalism we did yesterday is we got the lowdown on Andrew Meadow's haircut. So we'll hear from Andrew Meadow as well about that yesterday. So got some sound to play, and then we will talk a little football as well, Jay. They're kind of officially turning the page to the 2025 here. The players back this week and getting going, I believe, Thursday with the first kind of off-season workout type thing here. So football's in full gear, trying to still lock down some recruits and turn the page, and obviously basketball going as well.
Mm-hmm. That time of year, man. It's funny that the football cycle I remember once upon a time, we were just paying attention to high school recruits kind of throughout this month, and for the most part, it was even already done. This was always a real quiet couple of weeks for football, but with the way that this game has evolved, it just simply never seems to end anymore.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And now with the transfer portal and all that kind of stuff, the way that it is crazy, man. It's gotten. I will say I do want to start with basketball, but a quick thought: Prince Strawn, USC, man. Good luck to him. That's going to be very interesting to follow.
It will be. You look at his stops though, and the places he went and visited. Man, he went to some big places. I saw he's at West Virginia, Miami, USC, UCLA. So, Prince obviously swung big with where he chose to visit, and he settles on USC. So I am excited. I will say this. I think it's funny that everywhere you look, it posts his stats over 2 years, and there's this perception though when you're just looking at it for a second, as if that's what he did last year at Boise State. And I'm not trying to knock the kid or anything like that. I don't know. I don't feel like you often see people tweet out how many what a guy's done in his career, but whatever. I guess. Yeah, I'm excited to see how he does. I mean, Prince has a lot of talent. He's got a ton of talent, and will this bring out the best in him? Time will tell. So excited to see it though.
Now, Chibuzo Abo and Prince Strawn, now both key members of the football and basketball teams landing at USC. So
I'll say this: it's going okay for Buzo. I mean, I remember when he committed there, and then all of a sudden they signed 3 small forwards in a row right after him, and there's some initial concern, but he hit a big shot for USC against Illinois in a pretty big upset this weekend, and I'd say it's going okay for Buzo.
Well, we'll get back to the football talk and kind of, asking Jay about some of the items on Mike Prater's wish list, his column at BroncoNationNews.com, or kind of his off-season priority list, I guess, for Spencer Danielson and the football team. We'll get to Jay's take on that later in the show. But as we mentioned, quick turnaround, especially when you go to these games. You know how it is for football, Jay. Just some of these short weeks, man. Driving back from Logan on Sunday, and here we are on Monday doing interviews, and it's already game day on Tuesday, and it's going to be the same for Friday. But not much turnaround time for the team either. They had to take Sunday off just for, I think, a mandatory day off throughout the week, and also just sometimes more is less. You lose a tough game like that, getting right back on the practice floor isn't always necessarily the best thing. But they had practice, film session, everything yesterday, getting ready for Wyoming today, and I'm not going to show it again. I think yesterday I pained enough people showing the Martinez shot that kind of bounced around on the rim and fell in. Everyone's seen it by now, but certainly a tough way to lose that one. Up 13 in the second half, not able to hold on. And now you have to see, what this team's made of in terms of turning the page quickly and not letting a devastating defeat on Saturday kind of carry over to tonight.
For the record, when it comes to Prater's wish list, real quick, BJ, I absolutely think they should allow Maker's Mark in the press box and have a golf driver simulation in there too, for that matter. Those are great ideas, Prater.
I couldn't believe he had finding a kicker on the list above that, but yeah, we'll see.
What a heartbreaker, man. I feel for the guys. I was texting with you after the game, BJ, just how to sum it up, and I can't remember exactly what you said, but encouraged but heartbroken or something, devastated. And I was like, man, I couldn't agree more. I feel like there were definitely some good things you could take away from that game, but at the end of the day, you want that win, and they weren't able to come home with it. So you come home pretty dejected and devastated. And I think that for so long this season, I feel like we've been searching and wanting to see more out of this Boise State when it comes to the offensive end of the floor, and just to shoot it a little bit better and be efficient and things like that. And man, they hit the nail on the head with all that against a pretty tough Utah State zone the other night. And then all of a sudden you get through that game and you're like, oh man, kind of the hallmark of this team was rebounding and defense these last few years when they've gone to the NCAA tournament. And Utah State shoots over 61% against Boise State. That's really only happened, a half dozen times or so during the Leon Rice era, where an opponent has shot above 60%. And the last time it happened, BJ, was 2019. So, I mean, it had been a while since Boise State struggled on defense like they did against Utah State. And ultimately, in the end of the day, they give up 81, including kind of a Hail Mary, almost last-second shot that the prayer was answered for Utah State. Ian Martinez again, man, second straight year against Boise State where he hit just a devastating shot to help Utah State win a game.
Yeah, no doubt. By the way, Jay, I have your bottle of water here if you need it. The Tears of Leon.
Okay.
They left from they gave me it from the student section, fresh salt water. And as I mentioned yesterday, it's vegan, free of sugar, sweeteners, success, gluten, and now nepotism. Finally, it says they did their homework on this little bottle of water here. So,
hey, tip of the cap to the Utah State student section, man. They do not hold back. They find every little detail and
they have a weird. It's hard to explain. I think they do cross the line at times a little bit on some of the stuff in the little letter they send out to all the students and some of the chants and things. So I don't necessarily from that standpoint like the way the example they set and some of the signs and things, but but you know what? My counter to that is at least they're there and they show up and they're loud and it was absolutely packed and crazy. And I've been to, every Mountain West Road venue in the last 12 years and I can't remember a game louder. There may have been some that were just as loud, but I can't remember one off the top of my head where I was like, it was super loud. And that's why I left encouraged because of how they handled the atmosphere and because how it was caving in the second half. And they kept a couple times came back and hit big shots after they had fallen behind in the final, 4 or 5 minutes. So yes, would you have liked to get the win? Sure. But that's why I kind of went off on some fans on the postgame show that were saying, oh, this team won't sniff the CBI after that game, whatever. And I'm like, you just watched that game and your first thought after watching them battle in that game was that they might not even make the CBI. Like my first thought was this team could go on a run here. Like they could still win a lot of games. Now, is it a little too late to get an at-large bid? Maybe, but that team that we saw last night is every bit good enough to win them out. I mean, if that's the best team in the league, supposedly, and you were a 7 bounce fluke shot away from beating them on their home floor in that atmosphere, you're going to tell me they can't go win the Mountain West tournament? Like, I still think they have a lot of wins. I mean, I think tonight's a big game to kind of get back on track. I don't want to say trap game because you just lost, but it's a game where you need to take care of business, get things rolling, and then obviously a tough road ahead. But I thought that was a very encouraging sign. If you'd gone down there and lost by 15 or whatever, you would have said, yeah, it's a tough loss. They're just not ready to compete, whatever. But the folks will, another blown second half lead. Like I get it. There's certain fans. That's just what they want to do is complain and be negative. But I thought the general overarching theme as I, texted you was, and it seemed like that was the case with some of the players and coaches was should have had it. Wish we had it. Would have been nice on Selection Sunday to have it. But in terms of just what you saw and how they played, I thought that's 2 games in a row. And yes, we'll get to the defense, but I thought you put the offensive performances of the UNLV game and that game back to back. They're figuring something out offensively. They're getting, starting to get productions from some guys. And I think I felt encouraged that they still have a lot of winnable games left. There's not going to be too many games the rest of the season where I'm going, man, they don't have a chance tonight. Like they're going to be fun to watch and they're going to win some big games, I think. And like I said, whether that's enough to get into the tournament, I don't know at this point. They would have to go on a pretty crazy run, probably for that to happen. But I still think that I saw enough in that game to know that they're going to fight the rest of the season, and it's going to be worth turning on your TV and watching or coming to Extra Mile Arena for every game the rest of the season.
Yeah, I guess so last year in terms of, the glass is half full, I'll give this to you. Last year, do you know what the record was through 17 games, BJ?
Probably 12-5 or close to it.
It was 12-5, and they went to the NCAA tournament as an at-large last year. Now, I do think the Mountain West is going to be treated a little different this year. 6 teams aren't getting in, like especially after what happened last year. It just is what it is. Like they're going to have to earn their way back, and some of the teams that go to the NCAA tournament are going to have to perform in order for the Mountain West to get that many bids into the league again. And let's face it, Boise State only has 1 more year in this league, so I don't even know if there's enough time to even prove that at this point. But before you head off into the Pac-12, that is. That being said, the goals and aspirations of this team are to go to the NCAA tournament. Like not only go there, but to win a game. And so this next week is massive. Like these next 10 days are season-defining days because, yes, you play Wyoming at Extra Mile. Wyoming did put a scare into New Mexico a couple of nights ago, and then eventually the Lobos came back and won that game in Laramie.
They put a scare in Boise State when they played them. We're going to get to that quote from Leon Rice as well, but yeah, I agree. They're not a pushover.
Yeah. Either way, you should take care of business tonight. But then the 2 games that loom after that are at the Pit and at Moby Arena in Fort Collins. And those are 2 very difficult road trips. And, for just being honest, like because of Donovan Dent and the roster that New Mexico returns, they command your attention. They're undefeated in league play at this point. You might overlook Colorado State because they don't appear to be what they have been the last couple of years, but Moby Arena is a difficult place to play, and it has always really challenged Boise State. So you're 12-5 right now. What's your record in 10 days? I know there's a lot of season left after that, but you're really going to understand what's ahead of you because, again, not to be doom and gloom here, but if you lose those 2 road games, which you're probably going to be, you'll be an underdog at the Pit. It's probably going to be a little closer at Colorado State, but
Tom has Colorado State by 1.
Okay, I was going to say I would assume it would be like a point and a half, something like that, where Colorado State's going to be slightly favored. So if that does hold chalk to what your boy Ken Palm is predicting, right? If you're 13 and 17 after that road trip, 13 and 7, yes, after that road trip, then all of a sudden your focus is going and winning the Mountain West Conference tournament because that if you don't, I
think 2-1 these next 3 games, counting tonight against Wyoming, and obviously you would hope to be a win, but I think you need to get at least 1, and I think frankly you'd rather have the one at the Pit if you had to pick one of the 2. 3-0 would be great and probably thrust you back into feeling better. Yeah. But if you could just kind of hold serve and go 2-1 and pick off one of those next 2 games, you're probably feeling okay. And to your point, Jay, about being 12-5 last year, and I know everything kind of all records are not equal because of who you beat, who you lost to, wins you play them, all that kind of stuff. But they were 12-4 last year, or 12-5 last year. You go back to 2023, they were 12-4. And they were actually 10-4 and then went on a little bit of a winning streak. But they were 12-4 and got an at-large bid in 23. And then in 22, when they started out 3-4, they obviously went and went on a big 14-game winning streak or whatever it was and got to 17-5. But they were also 12-4. So the last 3 years, 12-4, 12-4, 12-5 at one point during the season and got at-large bids. So I know this 12-5 is not the same as you said, that the metrics don't quite add up. That's why a win tonight by 30 would be better than a win by 13 or whatever. But it's not impossible. And I guess whenever people say, "Oh, I'm taking the positive approach, I'm a home," or whatever, like that's what I'm looking at. It's not a 17-game season; it's a 31-game season, and they've shown in previous years that they figure things out and go on streaks down the stretch and put themselves back into consideration. And so, with what I saw the last 2 games, I still think that can happen. Now, is it going to be enough? Can they go 12-2 in these last 14 games? I don't know about that. That would be pretty tough. But if they did, they'd be back in the conversation to get in. So why people are giving up on the season at this point, I have no idea. But you're right. I mean, last year they were sitting there. They lost to UNLV. It was a home game, and that was kind of the game that UNLV's first kind of turnaround game. But everybody was like, wow, they just lost at home to Wyoming. What a bad loss. But they followed that up and beat San Diego State at home. Well, then they lost the Utah State road home game in overtime, and they're 14-6. And you're thinking, man, it's just not looking great. But they still found a way to get it going down the stretch. So I think there's still a lot of winnable games left on the schedule. Certainly tonight has to be one of them. But they've got to get the defense figured out, Jay. You look at some of the defensive numbers, and I want to play a quote from Leon Rice here in a minute, but this is the worst statistical defense they've had in 4, 5, 6 years here. The defense just has not been good.
Yeah, they got to build forward and something like that. And I guess I should have looked up the date or the game they suffered their 6th loss in each of these last 3 years, BJ, because to build off your point, you look back this year, they suffered their 5th loss in game 17. They suffered their 5th loss in game 17 last year. The year prior to that, it was game 20. The year prior to that, when, they really had a solid team led by a Buki Jab. They didn't suffer their 5th loss until game 23. So you're right. They got to go on a run, and the road ahead immediately in the future is not super easy. But if they can put it together, then that would be good. And after watching that game against Utah State, it really does kind of start with the defensive effort. Can this team go win brick fights? Games in the 60s, they show toughness. And can this team do that? Because these last 3 years when they've gone to the NCAA tournament, those teams definitely had that in them. And I think it's kind of even what defined those teams, to be honest with you.
Well, let's hear from Leon Rice here in just a second. But first, we got some sponsors that make this show free for all of you to watch on YouTube here. So I want to thank a couple sponsors, and then we'll hear from Leon Rice and Andrew Meadow as well. But our title sponsor is RowPaint.com. Andy Rowe and Company, RowPaint.com, ROEPaint.com, all your painting needs. Hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe. They're scheduling now for those concrete coatings in the spring, whether it's your garage, back patio, basement, perfect time of year. Any touch-up, interior, exterior painting you have as well, make sure you hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and rowpaint.com. Western Collective, our studio sponsor tonight, Extra Mile Arena, perfect time to get a Horseshoe Golden Ale and help out the Horseshoe Collective in the process. Portion of the sale from each Horseshoe Collective Golden Ale goes back to the Horseshoe Collective, courtesy of Western Collective. So get them at the game tonight or head to the brewery there in Garden City. Have some of their great tavern-style pizza and all the options they have, as well as the Golden Ale from Horseshoe Collective, from Western Collective. Taco Bell, we mentioned it's a Taco Bell Tuesday. TacoBellWorks.com is their website. They are hiring. If you're looking for a job, go into a local Treasure Valley Taco Bell location. They got the paperwork right there on the table when you walk in, and it's an awesome place to work because you get free food while you work, half your wages the next day after your shift, great promotional opportunities, a career in Taco Bell. Maybe you never thought of that, but it's a great option right now with a lot of career advancement opportunities and great benefits. So TacoBellWorks.com, get more information. And, oh, yeah, the food's pretty darn good as well with that $7 Lux Cravings Bowl and everything else they have going on right now. So Taco Bell, check them out. Appreciate the SN Management Group and the Nicolason family. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Jay, 14 minutes. I went in yesterday. It took 14 minutes to get a new debit card printed for my business account and the personal account. They don't mail it to you. It's not some big thing. They go in there, they print it right there while you're in there. It took me 14 minutes. I was in and out, and I was sitting there thinking, when was the last time I've been inside this place? Because you just don't ever have to go inside a branch. You can do all your banking needs right there from your laptop or your smartphone. Their mobile e-branch online banking is best in the business. So you may be happy with your banking experience, but I can promise you, make the switch. You'll be even happier with Idaho Central Credit Union online at ICCU.com. Jacksons would certainly like to have you take advantage of this on Thursday. If the Broncos can score 70 points tonight, you get a $2 hot dog and fountain drink at Jackson's 2 days after the game. So any game all season. I know folks yesterday took advantage of it from the Utah State game, but a $2 hot dog and fountain drink. I believe it also includes a banana, and that's 2 days after the game when they score 70 points. So they get 70 tonight. You get a hot dog, soda, and banana for $2 on Thursday, and that's using your Jackson rewards. And by the way, 25 cents from every hot dog sold just in general goes to support the Horseshoe Collective, and they made a donation of almost $100,000 just based off hot dog sales to the Horseshoe Collective last year. So return the favor there with Jackson's, and that'll be 70 points tonight. Get you that for $2 on Thursday. And I also want to thank Snake River Pool and Spa. Check them out, Snake River Pool and Spa patio and game. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team, whether it's a spa for the back patio, a sauna, pool table for the game room. They got you covered. Check them out online at thespateam.com, or as I said, visit one of their 4 Idaho locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, or in Nampa. All right, Jay, Leon Rice, I asked him when he went back and watched the film, was it as bad as he thought in terms of the defense and how that game went?
A lot of credit goes to Utah State, the tough shots they made. Now, when a team's that hot, you can't also give them some easier ones. And you take, even 3 or 4 of those away and they shoot 60 or 50 and you win. So to withstand a team that's hot, you got to not give them any easy ones. And, you gave them, to start the game, you gave them easy looks at the bucket and then, a few here and there. And then the numbers are okay that you can get it done, and we're still in the position to get it done. We just needed one more stop. But I was really pleased at, when I watched the film, I was really pleased at so many things. Though the way we took our scouting report, the way we took our scouting report on offense, because you got to have a good plan. You can't just run your normal stuff and thinking it's going to work and hoping it's going to work. You got to give them a good plan. And in that building, the communication's down. There's a lot going against you. Now, first half, we had too many shot clock violations where we were just unaware. And that was on, and that was off a dead ball once where, everyone should know. You look at the clock, we're calling the play, so it's short and quick. You can't get the ball and not know it, and not shoot it. You got to know that this is, hey, I'm going to look at a better option. There's no time for a better option. You got to know that. And so that's where the guys on the court have to communicate with each other a little bit better. But it's everybody's responsibility to know the shot clock. That's a player knows it. And so those are just little mistakes that you make that you can't make in such a close game. But when I looked at the film, I was like, hey, we battled and we did some tough things, and it was It was a highly, that was a high level game, maybe the highest level game where both teams were playing really good that we've seen all year. And so kudos to them. And Martinez he made some tough ones. Not just that, the last one was amazing. When have you seen a ball from 3 do that, hit every part of the rim 4 times, where everybody's just standing there watching it, and then it drops in. It was almost surreal. But yeah, there's some things we could have done better, and that we will look at, and everybody takes ownership in it, and we don't point fingers. And hey, there's things I could have done better. There's things players could have done. We all can, and that's the encouraging thing about this team is we're in the middle of January and we're still figuring a lot of stuff out because the amount of young guys that are playing. So they're going to keep getting better, and then just the combinations. We got to keep figuring that out.
And with that said, Jay, that was a thing that me and Prater talked about yesterday. And I got another quote from Leon where he basically said what I said yesterday, but Prater was a little critical of the inconsistency. And just at this point in the season, do you really still want to be, not knowing the lineups and all this stuff? And there is some truth to that. And I think that is, and I asked Leon, he's like, yeah, you'd like to have your 8-9 guys and have it figured out and have all your minutes set, but they just don't. And if you want to blame the coaching, that's fine. But I think some of that does go back on the players, Jay, because, someone asked earlier about Dylan Buchanan. He starts, plays 6 minutes, doesn't play again. Well, as you heard Leon say, gave up a couple easy buckets inside, didn't look ready to play. Other guys earned those minutes. Chris Lockett, 2 games in a row, got 26 minutes, and then they start him, and then he doesn't score. I mean, they're giving these guys opportunities, but at some point they have to, take advantage and earn that. And I think you're getting too much, even like a Javen Buchanan. His dad, watches a lot of these shows, might be watching right now, has had a great season, but he's had some up and down games. He had great games in the Caymans. They put him in the starting lineup, and then he doesn't produce a lot and goes, then they're just, it seems like they're just, Leon is searching, but it's also these guys that they're giving opportunities to. Not enough of them have kind of grabbed the, bull by the horns and taken advantage of that. And even like an RJ Keene gets to start and then unfortunately breaks his nose and they have to make another switch to the lineup. And so it's just been a up and down. You're getting, what you're getting from Cardenas and what you're getting from Degenhart. And that's why those guys are playing 38 minutes. But a lot of these other guys, I think, have just been too inconsistent. You're having too many guys at the same time be inconsistent, which is leading to some of these struggles.
Yeah, potentially. I think a name that you didn't mention that stands out to me is Omar.
Yep.
And I don't know what the answers are there, and I don't really understand what's going on there, to be honest with you. Where Omar was a force last year, and to the point where he had some stuff working against him, whether it be injuries, his first year in a program, and he still had a remarkable season. I mean, I thought Omar was going to be a first teamer this year, to be honest with you, and I there was nothing that told me elsewise.
I think he was preseason.
He was. I mean, I voted for him. Sure, yeah. You did too. I don't know, but a lot of people did because it doesn't just come off our votes. It comes off votes from around media all over the league. And so that was the expectation. And so, not to put more pressure on the kid, but I think it begins and ends with almost with Omar. I think he's so important. He's such a good player. He's so athletic. I think you also have to get Omar in a position where he plays enough that he can make a mistake and still bounce back from it. I think that's important to a player's confidence, to where if the leash is just so short, you're going to play fearing that you're going to make a mistake. And the moment that happens, you're going to go back to the bench. And, it's probably a lot more complicated than that internally. And I'm being too simplistic on the outside, but I think you got to find a way to get Omar back to what he was last year. I think you need him in the starting lineup. I think that if he can be what he was last year, this team looks drastically different. And we keep seeing glimpses of it. I mean, he grabbed the big offensive rebound in the game against Utah State. And then, he didn't do much outside of that at that point in time. So, I don't know. It is a little weird too. It seems like every time they do kind of experiment with somebody new in the starting lineup, they have like a couple of great games before off the bench, and then they don't necessarily do so good when they enter the starting lineup. So, people that are a lot smarter than I am for sure have to answer the question, why is that the case? And I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But I will say this, at the very, very least, BJ, it is super unique for them to be experimenting with their starting lineup this late in the season. They've got to kind of figure that out and move forward. This team's certainly talented, though. There is no doubt about it. This team has a lot of talent. I think if you want to talk about like the overall talent, like 1 through 10, this is probably the best collection Leon's ever had. So how do you get that to add up on game night and make sure you start picking up some of those victories? And the expectations, as I say that, BJ, kind of hit the gravity of it kind of hits me. Like they're 12-5, the season's not over, but expectations for this program have changed over these last few years where, it's not a bad thing that 12-5 is, causes some uneasiness, if you will.
Yeah.
Like that's not a bad thing. They've changed the expectations of this thing. 5 years ago, everybody would have been celebrating like, no, 12-5, like we're right in this thing. Now, that's just not the case anymore for Boise State fans.
No doubt. And here's Leon talking about playing 11 guys in the first half, switching up the starting lineup, trying to find that consistency, trying to find that nucleus and that rotation, and just getting everybody on the same page here moving forward.
You'd rather have maybe everything figured out, but you might not have as much room for growth if that's the case. I was talking to a wise coach friend of mine, and we were talking about the same problem. He's like, I'm going through the same thing, some. Part of it's the new era of getting new guys, new uniforms, and that kind of thing. But the other part of it is the consistency. I think I know what I'm getting out of Tyson. I think I know what I'm getting out of Al every single night. So that's where their minutes are consistent. I reach in my wallet. I want a 20. I pull out a 20. Sometimes I have guys where I reach in my wallet thinking I'm getting a 20 and it's a 5 one night and it's 100 the next. So just let me know what I'm reaching in for, and then it becomes consistent, and then the subbing pattern becomes a little more consistent.
What do you make of that, Jay?
Oh, I mean, it kind of sums it up there. I mean, it's basically what we've been talking about. I think another thing too that I forgot to mention this when he was kind of talking about the shot clock and things like that and having some violations. I look back at like Marcus Shaver Jr. and certainly he wasn't a perfect player, great player, not a perfect player. Mostly it had to deal around with he just couldn't stay healthy, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of a shot clock, at the end of a game, that was a guy that could create for you. And whether that be, hitting one of his, patented step backs or something like that, where, he or pull ups that, he had some game winners in his time here, or he could get to the free throw line, things like that. I feel like they kind of miss a guy like that in those situations. And I just don't know if they have anybody quite like that when they kind of get into those tight end of the game, end of the shot clock situations where they can just go create by themselves.
I totally agree with you on that. I mean, the one thing I'll say, like it and yes, a lot of it's, and then Alvaro Cardenas is the one I see get blamed a lot because he's the one having to jack up a shot at the end of the shot clock when someone passes him the ball with 3 seconds left, and he's like, "Oh, great, now I gotta go fire up a shot." But yes, I mean, the first possession of the game to get a shot clock violation like that really can't happen. I mean, it's like getting a false start on the first play of a game in football, like that, or a delay game or something. That shouldn't happen. I will say though, like it was really, really loud in there, Jay, and it is hard, like. But I mean, also like you're on the road, that, like look up at the clock, like it goes both ways. But I mean, it was a insane atmosphere. But for that to happen, I think 3 times in the game, with 3 seniors on this team, like probably shouldn't be happening.
No, you point to a bunch of little moments, and as much as we want to complain about the defense, man, if you get one shot up off of those 3 shot clock violations, that right there could be the difference maker too. So, there are more than a couple things you can point out. I do think the defense has to get it. They have to be better than that. You can't allow a team to shoot 61% and expect to win, let alone expect to win on the road.
80% in the second half. I knew it was bad, but until Leon came on my post-game show and mentioned it, I had to look down at the stats again. 16 of 20 in the second half, and they had a stretch when Boise State went up 13, and Jared Calhoun called timeout there early in the second half. There was about 17 minutes left in the game at that point. From the 17-minute mark to the 4-minute mark, a stretch of 13 minutes of game action, Boise State only made 2 stops on the defensive end. 2 stops. They either made the shot or got fouled every time, other than 2 possessions for a 13-minute stretch of that game. And like I said, it was actually, I won't say miracle, but it's actually kind of a surprise that Boise State still had a chance to win the game, given every time it started to cave in. I remember Andrew Meadow hitting a big corner 3. Tyson hit a big corner 3 in front of the bench, I believe. Like there were some big time shots being made when it looked like it could have caved in. And it was going to be, in my mind, one of the best wins in my 12 years covering the team here, with how they continued to battle back in this atmosphere and get this win. And then obviously it doesn't happen. But that's why I was a little bit encouraged. Like the pit is great. It's got more people, but it's not going to be as loud as it was the other night. San Diego State, it's a big arena. It's, whatever, daunting, whatever you want to call it, intimidating, but it won't be as loud as it was. It's just a fact. And so you've, I think, gotten the worst, hardest, difficult game left on the season from a crowd atmosphere standpoint out of the way. Now, yes, will it be loud and electric on Friday at the pit, 9:00 game? Yes, but you already did it once. The shot clock violations, just how you handled it. You've now going into this one, like, oh, we did pretty well on Saturday. Like we can handle this, and moving forward. So I think getting the Utah State one under their belt's going to help them moving forward here, maybe. But it was. I forget what you originally were talking about, but yeah, there were numerous chances in that game in the second half where I thought it could have caved, and I that was one of the encouraging things I thought was some of the big shots they made. The offense the last two games. You want to talk about, signs if you're a, diehard fan trying to hold out hope of that at-large bid and grasp for straws and like, what can I hang my hat on right now? Tyson Degenhart going, I think, 5 of 7 from 3, and that's 2 games in a row where the offense had some of their best offensive numbers of the season. I'm not saying they're going to make 14 threes every game, and I do want to get back to the defense, but if this offense can be efficient like this, Jay, and do what they did, lack of turnovers, move the ball, hit some outside shots, like that is very encouraging that the offense is finally coming together.
Yeah, to go back to kind of what you're talking about at the beginning there, when Drake Allen hit that 3 to put Utah State up 3 and erase that 13-point deficit with 6:01 remaining in the game, that was the moment where I go, oh, that was probably the kill shot. And then, I don't know, 8 seconds later, Tyson comes back and hits a corner 3 to tie it back up at 68. And I was like, okay, well, these guys can handle adversity, their game. And then to be up 4 with about, I think it was 80 seconds left or so in the game, and Utah State takes a timeout. Like, I really thought that was the moment that Boise State could finish that thing off. But I think one thing that, like, when you have a 4-point lead with 80 seconds to go, when you have a 13-point second half lead, and that you're forcing them to call a timeout, I know you're feeling great and things are going well on the offensive end, but that's really the time where it's like, okay, let's be tough. And if we get a couple of stops here, like, that's going to break them. And unfortunately, that just didn't happen. And one thing I will say, Boise State made 14 threes in that game. So in terms of what they can count on and can't count on moving forward, that is a very, very high number. And so I'll say this. I think they're now 25-3 under Leon Rice when they make 14 threes in a game. So if they do that at Albuquerque or at Moby, like, I would really like their chances to come out with a victory. But I also don't know if you can count on that, to give you a chance in either of those games, because that's a lot of threes that they made the other night.
I do want to finish up going back to the defense, though, Jay. I do want to remind folks, though, that the Fiesta Bowl gear is half off at the Blue and Orange store. If you need Fiesta Bowl gear, you want some Fiesta Bowl gear, it is half off at the Blue and Orange store, theblueandorangestore.com. Go check them out in store at the Boise Town Square Mall, the second floor next to Per Image. You can also order anywhere in the world, and they will deliver to you. That is at the Blue and Orange store, theblueandorangestore.com. Fiesta Bowl gear, half off. They still have the Ashton Genty gear as well. Check them out at the Blue and Orange store, theblueandorangestore.com. Lithia Ford of Boise. The weather is getting cold, icy, snowy. It is time to make sure you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle from Lithia Ford of Boise, and they've got you covered. LithiaFordBoise.com. The Rains family purchased an F-150 from them. Our salesperson, Kim, tremendous help every step of the way. We love the process. Jim Sturk, Jamie Drake and company. It's just a friendly environment, great staff. Always enjoy Lithia Ford of Boise. So check them out, LithiaFordBoise.com, when you're looking for that next car or truck purchase. And do your research ahead of time. Their full inventory is available online, LithiaFordBoise.com. So you can go online, do your research, go on in there, test drive the vehicles you want, and be on your way in a hurry. That's Lithia Ford Boise, LithiaFordBoise.com. Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley for a reason, is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. I know everybody has 5 friends in town that are realtors. I get it. I do as well. But we went with Matt and his team for our purchase and sale of our homes in the summer, and we cannot be more happier that we did. You get to meet everybody in the picture there when you and the personalized service is just unmatched when you buy or sell a home with Matt and his team. Everybody there is kind of focused on a different part of the process. Highly recommend Matt Bauscher and his team. No home is too big or too small. Check them out online, BoucherRealEstate.com, and he'll be presenting the Boucher Real Estate Player of the Game. Boucher Real Estate, BoucherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. ShopRidleys.com. Ridley's Family Markets. They got locations across the Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, all those surrounding areas. ShopRidleys.com. Check them out online and download that skip back. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line with our friends Shop Ridley's, Ridley's Family Markets, and Ridley's ShopRidleys.com. All right, Jay, I do want to get back to one more quote about the defense from Leon Rice. The defense, the Ken Palm numbers. Again, Jay, you go back to right now, the defensive efficiency number is 90th. Last year, they finished 29th. 2023, 28th. 2022, 20th. The 3 years they made the tournament, they had a top 30 defense at Ken Palm. Right now, their defense is 90th. 90. And you had to go back 2021. Well, it wasn't great, but it was still 64th. 2020, 81st. You got to go back to 2019, the year they went 13-20 and had all those shots at the buzzer, go the wrong way, and just had a really bad year there, 13-20. Missed out on the postseason. Back in 2019, their defensive efficiency number was 161. So you have to go back, 6 seasons or whatever it is to find a defense that has struggled this badly. And Leon Rice on the defensive struggles and how badly they need the defense if they want to get this, season going in the right direction here.
Just getting better. And how can we as coaches help them get better? And, every team's different too. We've had a great defensive system. But you got to adjust to your personnel too, and that's what we're still in the process of that as the personnel has changed now.
You mentioned after the game you've won championships because of your defense and stuff.
Right.
I mean the Ken Palm numbers. It's like the four. If you got to go back, 4, 5, 6 years to find where you guys rank. I mean, I know there's still 15 games left to correct that, but is it kind of answered it there? But is it more personnel based, scheme based, effort based? What are you seeing differently?
It's a combination of all of those. Always is. And it's the changing game. Some of the stuff we were doing 3 years ago, every team wasn't doing what we were doing. And the game has changed a little bit more teams are doing it. So teams are getting more comfortable playing against it. And so, but it's also, you got to adjust to your personnel and figure out what they're best at and how to simplify it so they can just play really hard and not have to think as much. And that's the adjustment of the scheme, maybe. But playing hard is the number one. That's the, you look back at when a couple years ago with Abu and those guys, man, they just played remarkably hard and jaw-droppingly hard. And we've done that. But when you have 3.5 guys doing it, then the one gets found. We have to have 5 guys playing that hard on every possession. And with our depth, that's how we have to approach it.
I was going to say, you won a game by giving up 37 points one time.
Right.
Do you have the buy-in you need defensively?
Oh, yeah. We do. But again, you can't have this freshman made one mistake, that freshman made one mistake, cost you a bucket, that freshman made one mistake, cost you a bucket, that new guy made one. That's 4 buckets. And that's 8 points, 10 points, 11 points. In these where there's no margin for error, you wish you had those back. And they're simple things that we can fix. That part of it's game experience, part of it's just keep working on it in practice. But you don't get many, you don't get hours and hours and hours now of practice without wearing them out. And so that's a fine line too. So film and all that stuff is really important.
I think we should just let Bronco 130 coach the defense here, Jay. He's got it figured out. He says, stay in front of your man, put your hand up, and if you aren't guarding someone, find someone to guard.
There it is. That's simple. That boy Bronco 130.
Maybe I should text that to Mike Burns, make sure he's aware of that going into the game tonight.
Yeah. The one good thing about this stuff is it gives you perspective of, what some of the guys in the past meant to this team. And I've always said this, I don't think I've ever seen anybody play harder in a Boise State uniform than Abu Kijab against Memphis at the NCAA tournament. That guy, the epitome of leaving it all out on the floor. It was Leighton Vander Esch versus Colorado State in the crazy comeback of 2017. I mean, it was Ashton Genty in just about any game this year, right? Particularly UNLV when he got hurt. He played unbelievably hard that game, and that was also what defined his career, is how tough he was. You know, they need a little bit more of that on this team, if I'm being honest. And I think that Leon even almost just kind of alluded to that with his answer right there. Who's the guy that, maybe not even literally, but who's the guy that slaps the floor and is just like, there's no way in hell they're scoring on us right here. Like, it's not happening. Who is that guy? And in turn, who is that guy that then sparks the rest of everybody to feel that same way?
I feel
they
that's
just kind of need
Alvaro.
that.
I feel that
you know what?
Yeah, maybe Chris
I
Loftus,
feel
I don't know.
I feel like it is Alvaro, and that's not even calling him out or saying he needs to actually go out there and slap the floor or anything like that. I don't mean that like too literally there, but just who is that guy that wants to lead this thing and just knows, like, I mean, Alvaro's got a lot on his plate, and he's, I mean, what, 9 assists 2 games ago, 0 turnovers, 8 assists against Utah State, 1 turnover. I mean, it's hard to pick apart his game and be unhappy right now. But just who is that guy, almost from a leadership standpoint, where we're talking about effort, not talent. And Alvaro's playing some good ball right now, man. So it feels weird to even say that, but just who is that guy that leads that defensive charge?
So we're going to hear from Andrew Meadow. And again, I know your time is limited. I'm playing with fire here, maybe. But for one final thought from you, Jay, we got your get the little one there.
Yeah.
Where's Brooks? What's up, Brooks? There we go. Look at Brooks there.
What does Boise State have to do to win, buddy?
Come on, Brooks. I got the soft toss machine ready for him in the garage.
Yeah, we need to get over there and check that out. So, final thought, man.
You kind of wrapping up what you started with.
Yeah.
With where the team's at right now, 12-5. You know, still some optimism, but obviously not in a great spot. Just what's kind of your final big picture take into this game tonight?
Man, I said last week prior to the Utah State game, they need 3 guys to make multiple threes in order to have a chance, and they had 4 guys, and they had a chance. I wanted to come back and say, not say I told you so, but just point out, like, hey, that is what it took. Tonight, this is about working on yourself. I think you really want to keep, you want to maintain your offensive flow and all that, but find a way to keep Wyoming in the upper 50s, low 60s, because you just get back to getting some stops on defense, and then seeing what it takes, and then going and implementing that against a really good New Mexico team, later on this week. So I know Boise State's more focused on winning this game, but I think it's also about just working on the things you need to improve on, and get Omar going. Whatever it takes to get his confidence back. Yep. They've got to do. And you can't make too many mistakes in the game. I mean, as Leon just said, talking about a broader topic, like, you have one guy lapse here and it allows a bucket, and then 10 minutes later, another guy has a little lapse and he allows a bucket, and that happens four times over 40 minutes. That can be 8 to 12 points.
Yeah.
And that's a lot in a college game. So you can't obviously allow too many mistakes, but he's just got to be able to play through some of his lulls and mistakes, and hopefully that you just get on the other side of this thing and you reap the rewards or reap the benefits of it. But that is me strictly speaking from the outside in a very simplistic manner.
Well, we appreciate it, Jay. I don't know if folks realize this or not, but Tuesdays is one of your days off of the week, and you still get up and mix the family time with coming on the show with us on Tuesdays. So appreciate you making it work, and thanks to Brooks.
Yeah, absolutely,
for here. Does Brooks get the paycheck now for today at least?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably. He's pretty happy. So the Jordan tongue wag.
There we go. But no, in all seriousness, Jay, thanks for making it work, man. Appreciate you. Yeah. Have a good rest of the day with the fam, and we will talk to you Friday morning, and we'll be big one tonight. Another big one Friday, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. See you tonight, buddy.
We're going to hear from Andrew Meadow. That's the big news everybody wants to hear, is Andrew Meadow and the hair. Andrew Meadow and the hair. What's going on with that? I asked him. We're going to hear from him in just a second. I do want to thank Transportation Compliance Service, transcompservice.com. Check them out, transcompservice.com. All your paperwork and everything you need to get into the trucking industry. Maybe you never thought of that as a career, but you should. Transcompservice.com, DOT, overweight, all the permits and things that you need to get out there towing that first load, get out on the open road in no time. They can help you out. It's a local company helping folks all over the world. Check them out online, transcompservice.com. Lean Feast. I have hit the 30-pound mark. I am down over 30 pounds now, and it's thanks in part to the Lean Feast. LeanFeastMeridian.com. Healthy eating options, steak, chicken, fish, shrimp, you name it. They got you covered. all different various diets, and it's all customizable. So you do it by the weight, by the ounce, get as much as you want of whatever you want. They're feeding the football team weekly, the basketball team. Tyson Degenhardt's got an NIL deal with them. So leanfeastmeridian.com. They deliver anywhere in the Treasure Valley. It's good for 5 days in your refrigerator, 2 minutes in your microwave. Highly recommend it. And if you're, especially for someone that's on the go, works at an office maybe and just wants to pop it in the microwave and not go out to eat all the time, delicious food, healthy food. Lean Feast, leanfeastmeridian.com. We're taking your voicemails, speakpipe.com/BNN. Again, we're going to hear from Andrew Meadow about his haircut here in a minute. Speakpipe.com/BNN. Give us some voicemails, post-game, pre-game, whatever you got. We'll check that and get those on the show. It's brought to you by Signature Roofing. They've been covering our community for more than 20 years. MySignatureRoofing.com, whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, an inspection, let the professionals take care of it for you. Again, over 20 years, locally owned company doing tremendous work in the Valley. We appreciate them. They've got the NIL deal with RJ Keene, who's going to join us on tomorrow's show. Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. And by the way, somebody was asking about a Riley and Rid show that's coming up next Wednesday. Next Wednesday will be Riley and Rid here at BroncoNationNews.com. They're going to have some former players join them. That'll be Tyler Crow, and I forget the other player, but that'll be next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Next Wednesday, or maybe it's Tuesday. Next Tuesday, excuse me. Wednesday's the basketball game against Colorado State. So Tuesday at 7 o'clock will be Tyler Crow, Riley and Rid live from the James Kitchen and Bar. Hey, don't forget, if you subscribe, and again, we're going to hear from Andrew Meadow in just a second, but subscribe to a yearly subscription to BNN. We're giving this trip away this weekend. I think it'll be on Saturday or Sunday, maybe Monday morning from Las Vegas. We'll figure this out, or Tuesday morning, but I'm going to Las Vegas after the basketball game on Saturday to see our friends at Circa, and taking my kids to the Blues Knights game in Vegas actually on Monday. So looking forward to that. But Bronco Nation News, 1 year subscription. If you're already entered, you're already entered. If you're a yearly subscriber, if you're not a yearly subscriber, jump in now. $50 for a 1 year subscription, BNN 50 deal, and you are eligible to win our private jet trip to Las Vegas for the game in February. And you get to stay a night at Circa and have a lot of good fun. So subscribe now before it's too late. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. All right, the big investigative journalism of the game. That's what I am, a big J journalist. Andrew Meadow, the haircut. I know everybody wants to know about it. I know it's kind of silly, but here's Andrew Meadow and Leon Rice talking about the cutting the hair.
Time, I've been growing it for 5 years, and it just felt like time for a reset. And, I could always grow it back. So it was just time for a haircut.
What was the team's reaction when they saw it?
Everyone was super shocked. They all gave good reactions, but a few of them didn't even recognize me at first, but it was cool to just see all the reactions.
Was that something that had been kind of talked about, or did they know it was coming, or you just showed up one day?
No, I just showed up on Friday morning with a haircut. I didn't tell even most of my family, so they saw on TV, so they were shocked too.
What's is the goggles more like kind of what you want to be known by, or you had the hair obviously for a while, but what would just obviously the look was something that was kind of part of you?
No, yeah, I think for myself, the goggles has always been my look because I've had the goggles since I started playing basketball at 7 years old, and then the hair just kind of became my other look the past couple years. So I kind of want to just transition back to just my goggles. My hair can change and all that.
From family and friends, what has been the reaction?
Everyone says it looks really good, so I'm happy that everyone likes it. I like it myself, and if I ever want my long hair back, like I said, I can just grow it back.
Could you feel any sort of difference while playing?
Not really. It felt the same. I know my game is the same no matter what my hair is.
Was there any part of it, though, or you mentioned a reset where it's like, hey, man, people have all kinds of superstitions and stuff. Was it like, hey, maybe I'll start making more threes or something?
Not about making threes, but I think kind of for myself it was to break my own superstition, like that I need the long hair or whatever people say. I think for myself it was good to have. Even though we did have a loss, I think I had a pretty good performance, and I think it broke my own superstition that I needed the long hair.
Was there any satisfaction, too, that they had gone to all the trouble to print these pictures with the long hair on there, and then you kind of...
I kind of not regretted it, but I kind of didn't want them to think that it was because of them. It had nothing to do with the Utah State student section. Friday morning when they made a post on social media, I was like, dang, I don't want them to think I cut it because of them. But it was totally my own decision.
Did you think of taking a selfie and make a post like, "Hey, it's already changed" or something?
No, I didn't want to even engage with them. I saw it on my social media, but I didn't want to engage with them.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. I didn't even recognize him, but I was a fan of the old. I was a fan of Tyson's, old high school. I like signatures.
Yeah, go back and look at Tyson Degenhardt's hair back in the day when he was in high school. He had some longer hair as well. So Andrew Meadow, got the haircut and obviously played pretty well in that game the other day, and we'll see if they can keep it going here. Let's talk about Wyoming for a few minutes. We'll hear from Leon Rice as well. Wyoming comes in at number 167 at Ken Palm. They are 9-7 on the season. They are 2-3 in league play. They did beat Nevada. That gets your attention earlier a couple weeks ago. That was at home. And they did lose at Air Force, they beat Air Force. Their 2 wins are home against Nevada and at Air Force. They lost to Boise State, and then they lost at home to New Mexico. But they've only played 2 games, and then here you are 2 weeks later. Boise State is playing in a 14-day span Wyoming 2 times. Just kind of a weird scheduling quirk here. Typically, there's over half the league. Boise State hasn't played once, and they're already going to be done with Wyoming, after the game tonight. Boise State is 17-2 in their last 19 games against Wyoming, dating back to 2016. They have not lost a home game to Wyoming since 2014. Boise State's been playing well at home, 7-1 at home this year. And in the Leon Rice era, guys, 181-39. That's a 82.2% winning percentage in the 15 years under Leon Rice at Extra Mile Arena. Again, 82.2%. When you pay for a ticket and you come to a game at Extra Mile Arena under Leon Rice, 8 out of 10 times you're going to see a win. And even in those 20%, those 2 out of 10 times that you see a loss, you're most likely going to see a competitive battle game down to the end. They don't get blown out or have non-competitive games very often at home. And so a home game tonight, one of the final, 6-7 home games of the season, a chance to, see Tyson Degenhardt again and see some of these guys one more time. It's a nice 7:00 start, so you get a better start time as well. And Wyoming, as I said, they got their Obi Agbum, their key player, one of the best scorers in the league, over 18 points a game. He can really fill it up. He got hurt late in the Boise State game, missed the last 2 games, missed their game against New Mexico when they almost won that game. They had a chance to beat New Mexico and just couldn't finish it off. But they're getting their best player back tonight for Boise State. He's practiced full go the last couple of days. He's ready to go. BSU Bill saying Wyoming wants to make this a nasty rock fight, low possessions, low scoring. Sundance Wicks doing a tremendous job in his first year there. One of my favorite coaches to interview at media days. I thought he was a good choice to bring back, and I think he's done a good job. His energy, and we'll probably hear from him after the game tonight as well, because I always enjoy hearing from Sundance Wicks, and he's in his first year as the coach at Wyoming and brought in a lot of transfers, a lot of players, and trying to piece this thing together. And as I said, to this point, 9-3, and they're 2-3 in the league. So they're, in the middle of the league standings right now, all things considered. So let's hear from Leon Rice talking about playing Wyoming tonight.
He got hurt at the end of our game, and he's a heck of a player, one of the most dynamic players in our league. And we put, it was the tree falling in the woods that it was Farrah Fawcett dying the same day Michael Jackson did. Nobody noticed that Farrah died. A lot of people loved Farrah. He had her poster and all that. But we played a heck of a game against Wyoming last time, and we've had to play. They were tough, and they're well-coached team. They know their roles. They're competing, and they almost won without him. Against New Mexico is a great team. So we know that there is no time to feel sorry for ourselves in any way or any of that. It's back to the drawing board and back to we gotta go play our best in this league to get a win.
So there's no football game or anything tomorrow?
I don't think so. I don't think so. So, yeah, that's it. So.
There he is, Leon Rice. And again, 2 weeks ago when Boise State beat Wyoming 67-58, that was during the Fiesta Bowl. So Leon Rice made the joke there that it was like Farrah Fawcett dying the same day as Michael Jackson. Everyone worried and paid attention to Michael Jackson dying and didn't even realize or notice that Farrah Fawcett had died also. That was one of Boise State's better games of the season when they went up to Laramie just 2 weeks ago, and it was right during the Fiesta Bowl, but they won that game 67-58, played very well on the road to get a win there in a place that's not easy to go on the road and get a win. So he kind of joked that, hey, yeah, it was one of our better games. Nobody remembers it or saw it because they were all watching the Fiesta Bowl, which is, 100% true. But fans get a chance tonight. I think they're selling 2 balcony seats for $20. If you're on the fence about coming, I got an email about it. I don't know how you take advantage of that, but check with BAA members or season ticket holders, or if you bought tickets before, maybe you got an email, but they at least emailed out a promotion that I saw. 2 tickets for $20 for the game tonight. So they're trying to pack Extra Mile Arena, and rightfully so. Only a certain number of home games left. And coming off that game the other day and the crowd and the atmosphere and everything there in Logan, they need a packed house tonight. They need a loud crowd to help, get the team going again. Because this, you lose that game, quick turnaround. 2 more road games coming up after this. This could be a game maybe where they come out and they're a little sluggish, and if Wyoming hits some shots, maybe they could beat them. So they need a good, loud home crowd to their advantage tonight to help them out, and they really need a win tonight to kind of keep this thing from teetering in the wrong direction. So Ken Palm, I think, has it as a 12-point margin, 12 or 13. I think the spread's like 13 or something like that, 14. So it's a game that Boise State should win by double digits, but it's only. It's that's why they don't play it on paper. They play it in person, and the result's not always what it's supposed to be. So big game tonight for Boise State, and looking forward to getting Extra Mile Arena. We will have our live pregame show at 6:00. 6:00 will be the Lift the Four to Boise pregame show at 6:00. Abe Jackson will join us. We'll have some other interviews, and John Mallory will join us, and we'll get you set for tip-off. 7:00 tonight is tip-off, 7:00 tonight, and then we'll be off to Albuquerque, and we'll have full coverage Friday night from the pit in Albuquerque later this week as well. But first tonight, 6:00 pregame. And if you want to watch the full interviews with Leon Rice, the full interviews with Andrew Meadow, you can go on our YouTube page. We've got both full interviews up on YouTube. We were going to talk a little football with Jay. We ran short on time. We'll have Brad Bedell join us tomorrow. We'll talk a lot of football with Brad Bedell on tomorrow's show. RJ Keene also scheduled to join us tomorrow to get a little recap of the game tonight and talk a little basketball and hear about his broken nose and that experience. So sorry if you came on expecting to hear the football. We just went long on basketball and Jay had to roll. So Brad Bedell will take your football questions on the transfer portal, on the roster, on whatever you got, coaching staff. We'll have Brad Bedell join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Bronco Nation News Live to talk football. But again, final couple of days here to enter. Private jet trip to Las Vegas. Just got to be a yearly subscriber to BNN. Help us out. $50 for a 1-year subscription. All of Prater's columns, all my work, Nathan Carroll's work. A lot of great stories. Nathan Carroll has a story going up about Leon Rice also tomorrow morning about his history here and why folks that are ripping on him are crazy. But that'll be tomorrow morning. But round trip for 2 on a private jet. You get to go to the game, sit great seats down low, and then a night hotel at Circa Las Vegas. So that will be Circa Las Vegas. Our trip, thanks to Ridley's Family Markets. It's the conference game February 4th due to contractual rules and things like that. I can't say the team names. I think you can figure it out. February 4th, conference game in Las Vegas. Going to be awesome. And if you're a yearly subscriber to BNN, you're automatically entered. And if you're not, jump in now, become a yearly subscriber, and you're automatically entered. We'll draw this later this weekend. But appreciate all you guys for checking us out. Thank you so much for your support of Bronco Nation News. Go subscribe if you can. We do this every day, 9 a.m. So if you just found the channel, we talk sports with a variety of co-hosts, 9 a.m. weekdays, pre- and post-game shows, home and road. Other than the official radio team, Bob and Abe, we're the only local outlet that travels on the road with the team, so you can watch exclusive live post-game interviews with coaches and players after the games, like you will on Friday at the pit. We give you the pregame scene with warm-ups and things like that. So appreciate all your support. If you're able to subscribe, we'd love to have you. We have the $6.99 monthly option as well, but the yearly option gets you entered into the subscriber appreciation giveaway for the private jet. And we appreciate you guys. We appreciate Taco Bell, our Tuesday sponsor. Perfect day to get some Taco Bell. TacoBellWorks.com is their website. Check them out, whether it's the $7 Lux Cravings box, the Cantina Bowls, the cheesy roll-ups, the good old, crunchy tacos. They got you covered. Taco Bell, we appreciate them for sponsoring us on Tuesdays. Our Tuesday sponsor is Taco Bell, the Nicolason family, SON Management. We appreciate them. And we're in the Western Collective Studios. Pick up a Horseshoe Golden Ale tonight, and a portion of the proceeds goes back to the Horseshoe Collective to put money back in the student athletes and keep and retain the student athletes at Boise State. That's the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the Orange Chaos Seltzer, available at Extra Mile Arena tonight, available at most local retailers and, of course, available at their brewery in Garden City. You can have some of that tavern-style pizza and a Horseshoe Golden Ale, maybe pregame tonight before the game. That's at Western Collective in their brewery there in Garden City. And, of course, our title sponsor, rowpaint.com, Andy Rowe and Company, rowpaint.com. I said this last week, but my dog passed away. And Andy Rowe, all of a sudden, some cookies arrive at the door for my kids. And that's just the kind of, guy that Andy Rowe and his staff are to think about us in a time like that. And they're just great people. And if you have any painting projects, I hope that you will take, full advantage of the services of rowpaint.com. Support the sponsors. Andy Rowe and Company are tremendous, tremendous people. And they, put up a lot of money to be official sponsors of Boise State, to be the title sponsor of BNN. And so return the favor for them. Thank them for what they do to make these shows free of charge and things like that by, using them for a concrete coating or for your interior, exterior painting. Next time you have a painting project, all your painting needs, please hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and Company at rowpaint.com. So thanks again, everybody, for checking us out. Subscribe if you can. $50, BNN 50 deals, the promo code. Get entered for that private jet trip and get all the exclusive content from Prater and myself and Nathan, and a daily email and all kinds of good stuff. Great subscriber benefits. That's at BroncoNationNews.com. At a minimum, at least give us a subscription on YouTube, if I can speak. Subscription on X, Facebook, likes, shares, whatever they're called on the various platforms. But tell your friends. Give us a subscription, turn on your notifications on YouTube so next time we go live, you can just, get a notification and look at the broadcast there. And as I said, Leon Rice, Andrew Meadow, those full interviews from yesterday are up on the YouTube channel. You can check those out. You can check out all the various content we have on the website as well. And hopefully you will join us 6 o'clock tonight. If you're in Extra Mile Arena, feel free to tune in and we'll give you a shout out where you're sitting at and let us know. If you're watching on TV at home or whatever, that's great too. If you have a smart TV, you can just go to your YouTube app, turn us on there and watch this full screen like you're watching ESPN or CNN or whatever channel you want to watch. You just go on your YouTube app and you can watch our full screen live pregame show and the postgame show as well from Extra Mile Arena tonight. So that'll be 6 o'clock. We go live with Abe Jackson and myself tonight. John Mallory will join us as well. Appreciate you guys. Go subscribe. Tell your friends. Spread the good word about Bronco Nation News, and we will talk to you at 6 o'clock tonight from Extra Mile Arena. And again, tickets still available, 2 for $20, I believe. So if you're on the fence, bring the fam out tonight to Extra Mile Arena and see one of the final 6-7 home games of the year for Tyson Degenhardt and this team. So appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the pregame show tonight at 6 o'clock. It's been a Taco Bell Tuesday here on BroncoNationNews.com from the Western Collective Studios. Our title sponsor, of course, rowpaint.com. Have a good rest of your day, and we will talk to you 6 o'clock tonight from Extra Mile Arena as the Broncos take on the Wyoming Cowboys. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bronco Nation News is presented by rowpaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.